G'day folks, this is Raymond Foster. Why is it the case that in the West, in this day and age, there is a decrease in stable marriages? Folk aren't getting married as young as they used to, and just generally relationships aren't lasting. They're not as stable and healthy as they once were. In the real world, in reality, there's natural order. Basically, it's like an old kid story. The good guys have order. Yeah? The bad guys have chaos. Pretty basic distinction. And in the real world, we have a thing called order. We have the natural order of the genders, etc. So we have like men are above women. Men and women are both above children. Just like the sun is above the planet. And the natural order of things. Alright? And if anyone's got a problem with the natural order of things, they usually go crazy and they like have ideas like they don't want the sun to be above us, and so they want to destroy the sun or bring the sun down to our level or something. And that would obviously destroy all life on the planet. But they want to do it because they're jealous because the sun is above them. In the same way, folk will look at men above women in this manner, and they'll try to bring men down to be equal and things like this. They don't realize this will destroy your life and destroy the order of things. Just like if you tried to bring the sun out of the sky, that which is above you can't bring down to your level. It has to be above you. And you should appreciate that it's above you. It nurtures and looks after you like the sun. It gives us light, energy. Everything we have on this planet comes from the sun. Why? Because it's above us. So we should be happy to have men above us, if you're a woman or a child, etc. Because that's what gives you life. That's what pays your bills. That's why you have running water and electricity. That's why your children aren't starving to death. Because men are above you, like the sun, and that brings life to what is below it. And abundance. Yeah? Support, care. That's the natural order of things. So if you go against that natural order of things and you are a feminist and you think men are equal to women or women are somehow equal to men, you're literally trying to rip the sun out of the sky and destroy all life on the planet. You want to create chaos, destruction. You want to destroy order, the good, to create the evil, the chaos, the anarchy. So it's pretty obvious why feminism destroys relationships. It destroys everything. It's literally an attack on the natural order. It's an attack on life itself. It's exactly like Mr. Burns in that Simpsons episode trying to block out the sun because it's above him and he wants to be in charge. But you know, he's big evil Mr. Burns trying to block out the sun. That's literally feminism trying to block out the light of men. Okay? So it's pretty obvious how that causes problems. But where does feminism come from? Why is it so strongly promoted in Western nations? Why is it if you go to some African country, there's no such thing as feminism there? It's only in the white Western nations we even have feminism. Any ism like this, Marxism, feminism, leftism, liberalism, all these isms, alright, a mask's worn by the one ism called anti-whiteism, racial discrimination against members of Western kind. Okay? So, now let's ask the question again. Why do you think it is only in white Western nations that this idea of feminism, blocking out the light of men so that you can be equal with them, which destroys relationships in the natural order, alright? Why is it that it's only strongly promoted in white Western nations? Nowhere else in the world. Because it destroys our nations. Because it destroys the potential for healthy relationships. Because it destroys that natural good order and creates an evil chaos. Because anti-whites who hate us and hate the white race want to destroy and white erase us. So for generations now they've promoted these ideas Okay, not just feminism. There's heaps of ideas like there's multiculturalism, there's feminism, there's all these different things, Marxism, leftism, right? The list can go on and on. LGBT stuff, all of that, pushing the sexualization of children, all right? All of this is anti-whites promoting destruction, white erasure in white Western nations. And if that wasn't the case, you'd see these things happening in other parts of the world, but you don't. You can only see them happening in white Western nations. So it's obvious that it's only happening to white West. That's just a fact. So we have to ask ourselves a question and be serious here, be honest with ourselves. If it is a fact that it's only happening in white Western nations, and if it is a fact that the only purpose, the only possible cause or goal, the only end goal, the only intention, the only thing you can get out of this is destruction of families, giving children worse upbringing so they live with trauma, they have to live through domestic violence and they're traumatized for the rest of their lives, live with depression, suicidal tendencies, etc. Just destroying people's lives generally, making things worse for everybody. Again, in Western nations, in order to promote white erasure. This isn't my opinion. Look at it for yourself. I'm asking you, what else could it be? What else possibly could it be? If there's these ideas like feminism, which just destroy families, they destroy the potential for people to be happy, they traumatize children, ruin children's lives, abuse children, okay? And these ideas are only promoted in white Western nations in order to further promote white erasure. Fundamentally, if you want to erase a people, or have them erase themselves from a position of psychological guilt, so you tell white people, oh, you're evil, you should have guilt, you have privilege, you have to say sorry to this group of non-white people, you have to say sorry to this group of non-white, and you fill white people with all this guilt and self-hatred, so that they start to destroy themselves, okay? If that was the intention, obviously if you wanted to fill a populace with a guilt, a racial guilt, so that they destroy themselves in that manner, you would teach people, like a white group, to have white guilt, and then you would teach them things like feminism, so their women turn against their men. Then you would teach them things like multiculturalism is perfectly acceptable, so they just let anyone flood into their nation and take away their own homeland, leaving them nowhere to prosper and reproduce themselves. So if you had the intention to destroy a race of people, in this example, Western kind, my race, then with this intention it makes perfect sense that you would promote feminism in that nation. So there would be feminism being promoted in white nation, tick, yes. Okay? You would promote multiculturalism in that nation in order to dwindle the numbers of that ethnic group. Tick, yes, we have multiculturalism. You would come up with some type of name to dehumanize anyone who had any opposition to their own destruction and their own people being erased. Like racist or white supremacist or Nazi. Oh, tick, there's that as well. People like myself often get thrown these labels. We get called racist simply because we love white children. Apparently loving white children, you're not allowed to do that. Makes you evil and bad. And so we have to hurt you and the white children. But I'm just a racist, and they don't really hate us because of our race. It's not just anti-whites trying to harm innocent white children. Oh, of course not. I'm just a big baddie because I love innocent children and I want to protect innocent children and think that all people, no matter their background, deserve respect and nobody should be racially discriminated against, including members of my race. So if that was the case, you would have folk promoting ideas like feminism, wouldn't you? Purely as a form of, again, what? Anti-whiteism. So it's a guise, it's pretend, it's a mask. Feminism is a mask worn by anti-whiteism, used to destroy the Western family unit in order to white erase us and ethnically cleanse our race from the face of this planet. So there you have it, folks. That's why women these days have an issue with men like myself saying that men are above women. That's just the facts of life. Where did they get this idea from that women are equal to men, that men aren't above them? From the anti-whites. Why? Because the anti-whites want them to turn against their own men, to abuse their own children, to help destroy and suicide their own race from existence. Because if your women aren't healthy, good women, they don't give you offspring, well, there goes your people, there goes your tribe. So they have brainwashed our women with feminism so that our women turn against us and themselves and their own children. So any woman who doesn't understand the natural order that a man is above a woman, she is harming herself, harming other men, and harming children in her life. Even subconsciously, even if she doesn't realize it. And she's teaching them to be suicidal, to destroy themselves, to ruin themselves, to sabotage all their potential, to never achieve anything, to subconsciously destroy themselves in their own efforts, to, again, sabotage themselves psychologically, subconsciously. Why? Because that's what she has been brainwashed and taught to do to herself and other members of her race, to prolong the white erasure, the ethnic cleansing of our people. So there you have it, folks. Why would any woman disagree with me and try to say that I'm not above her as a man? Why would any white woman ever say that? Because she's been brainwashed with feminism, which is again just a mask of anti-whiteism, in order to make herself sick in the head, mentally sick. So she harms herself, she harms innocent children, she harms and attacks other men, or men who are above her naturally, and tries to bring them down. So she can bring men down, she'll bring herself down, she'll bring her children down and your children down, so she can bring everyone down. Why? Because we're white. Because we have white skin, because we are members of the white race. So she wants to bring us down and harm us because we're white. And because racial hatred against our race has been normalized and it's mainstream. Look, even Kevin Rudd said on national TV, sorry, we're saying sorry. That's racial discrimination against the white race, instilling this guilt, instilling this self-hatred, this self-destruction. He said for us white people to say sorry, which means he wants us to have white guilt, which is slow suicide. We harm ourselves, we harm our children, we harm our women, we harm, why? Because white. So you better be sorry because you're white. So I'm going to abuse that child, not treat them the same as a non-white child. Why? Because that child should be sorry. Which instills trauma, suicidal tendencies, depressions, things like feminism. Women think they're equal to men, destroys whole families, children are brought up without their fucking parents. White erasure. Why? Because somebody like Kevin Rudd went on TV and said we should say sorry. Take it easy.